There once was a small country by the name of Scientia. The city was known for their distinguished universities that led the world in their academia and research in every field. The country's rival universities would regularly hold debates between experts in various fields of study. However, over time, many of the Scientians that attended the debates or watched them online would get so heated that violence would erupt. A country that was intended to be one of learning had become a country of division. One day, a mystical wise man came to the country and, observing the turmoil, offered to plant a magic tree, a tree of knowledge. The tree's fruit gave the person a perfect knowledge of all the facts of the world. The country eagerly paid the man and planted the tree. As the tree grew, it produced its fruit, and the citizens began to eat the fruit and received all the knowledge. The university shut down, and the debate stopped. But the problem was that the disagreements between the citizens grew stronger. They continued to be divided, and now without the debates in the universities, they had become isolated. Years later, the wise man returned, and the Scientians accused him of selling a faulty tree. For surely, since everyone had truly the same information, they were all supposed to agree. The wise man only shook his head and said, "You seek after knowledge to solve your disagreements. This is a fool's errand. Knowledge does not remove personal values, emotions, and perspectives. True wisdom and harmony lies not in the uniformity of thought, but in the acceptance and celebration of the diversity of perspectives that blossom from the lives that we are living." So there's actually a name for this idea, and it's called the equal knowledge fallacy. And logical fallacies are essentially mind traps that we fall into. And so the equal knowledge fallacy is the idea, the belief, if everyone knew what I knew, then everyone would logically agree with me. And that's just not true, which is why it's a logical fallacy. This is one of the logical fallacies that I am constantly struggling to overcome. And my wife can attest to this. When we get into a disagreement, I am constantly trying to give her all the information that I have in my head, all this knowledge that I believe that I have, with the understanding that if I'm able to articulate the information perfectly, that there is no way she won't disagree, that there's no way that she won't agree with me. And I do this so much that she's come up with a term that she uses to tell me that I am doing it. And she says that I'm being a logic bully, that I'm logic bullying her into trying to believe whatever I believe. And generally this backfires, and we end out not agreeing and maybe even widening that gap a little bit more. So, so take it from my experience that this truly is a logical fallacy. This is something that will not work in terms of trying to get someone to agree with you. Now, I'm definitely not saying that we should never share information or never try and impart life's learned lessons to other people. What I'm trying to say is we shouldn't do that with the expectation that we are going to change their mind based off of information that we have. There is value in sharing information and sharing perspective, but going into it with the belief that any logical being that knows the same things I know will agree with me. While that could happen, it's not a healthy expectation to have in a disagreement. It's just important to understand that even if everyone has equal knowledge on a subject, we're not going to have unanimous agreement. Disagreements can arise from a variety of different things, from emotions to a unique perspective. Since we've all lived unique lives, we all bring a unique perspective to the disagreement, and we have a unique interpretation on the information, even if we all have the same information. And that can be beautiful. Like the moral of that story, that what should be celebrated is all of the unique perspectives and the unity that can come from celebrating that diversity instead of trying to have uniformity and force conformity on subjects. And on top of all of this, there are a lot of subjects that we talk about that are inherently uncertain, that are basically impossible to say, I know. And that includes things like philosophy, religion, ethics, and even most of the subjects that we study in science. A lot of science is theory. And to approach a conversation as if we know loses the whole point of science as an evolving practice, as an evolving theory to better the information that we have. So understanding the logical fallacy of equal knowledge, it can seem a little bit almost useless to share information. And I don't want that to feel like that's what I'm trying to say, because I'm not. But I do think that there are different ways to approach conversations or disagreements that can help. And we've covered a lot of stuff in my last couple videos because I enjoy learning about conflict and conflict resolution. But I think there are 4 things that you can do understanding the equal knowledge fallacy that will make disagreements better. And the first one is listening. And that sounds, self-evident that listening is a good idea, but I think listening is one of those things, especially active listening, is one of those things that you can do in pretty much any situation, and it's only going to make things better. And the second thing we can do is to practice empathy. And practicing empathy is another one that's, kind of obvious, but it's also easier said than done. But I really think that if we practice empathy and we put ourselves in their shoes, that's a great way to understand where they're coming from, which will allow you to get to the third thing that we can do, which is find common ground. If we can find common ground with the people that we're disagreeing with, I think we'll realize that a lot of the people that we see as kind of enemies, we agree on a lot of stuff. But the things that we don't agree on are the things that get highlighted. And if we can find common ground, I think that's the first step to building the bridge of connection. And the last thing is kind of a bonus. The fourth one is kind of a bonus. And that would be to practice some of the last couple things that we've talked about in my videos, which would be MGI, to give the most generous interpretation, to respond and not react, and to apply my 3 favorite words: curiosity, compassion, and acceptance. So anyways, I hope this was interesting to you. I love learning about logical fallacies because I do not want to fall into the trap of a logical fallacy. And the equal knowledge fallacy, I think everyone falls prey to at some point, myself included. Just ask my wife. So anyways, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and as always, share this with someone that you'd like to have a conversation with, and we'll see you in the next video.